Hi, folks. I'm Sean Crabtree.
And I'm Cameron Bailey.
We don't want to change the way you do business.
We want to change the way you're thinking about your business.
We want you to have better results, happier clients, and make more money.
Let's get it started.
And welcome into the show that is all about giving you everything you need to have happier clients, better results, and make more money. If you listen to this podcast or watch this show on a regular basis, it's going to come as no surprise that by and large, the vast majority of personnel in the dental office in the U.S. are in fact female. And what that means is that in a profitable dental business, the doctor has to have his or her hands in somebody's mouth at all times, which means the whole concept of value creation, value for the dentistry, value for the finances, all of that falls to mostly female folks. And I am so excited today to be able to have an expert when it comes to the concept of selling, Miss Kendrick Shope. She is a sales consultant, an author, a media personality, and one of the best in the business. Welcome, Kendrick Shope, to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here. It is my complete honor and complete pleasure to be here. I'm so excited today.
You are known as many, many things to many, many people, and you've been doing this for quite some time. But tell us in your own words, like, what is it that you do?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that it changes pretty often these days. But at its core, I teach people how to sell more of their products and services. Without sales, your business is broke. The definition of selling is the exchange of money for a product or service. So you can be the best at your craft. You can be the best marketer. You can have the prettiest website. But if you can't sell it, you are broke. And so I really view sales as a way to get anything you want in life. Selling is not just, done in a business setting. It's done at home when we're selling our kid on going to bed or selling our significant other on helping with the laundry. And so I really view selling as a key that opens the doors to anything that you want. But mainly I work with businesses and teach them how to sell in a way that feels authentic. Selling's gotten a bad rap over the years for being icky, sleazy, slimy, pushy, like a bully. And is it any wonder that if we're engaging in an activity that feels that way, we're not going to get the results we want? So
now let me ask, why is that? Kendrick, why is that? Because I run into that a lot. Why do you think that is?
Why does selling have such a bad rap?
Yeah.
Oh, I know exactly why. It goes way, 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 way back to when people had medicine men who would travel into a community and they would say, hey, I got this bottle of beautiful green elixir I'm going to sell you, and it's going to make you look skinnier, and it's going to make you look hotter, and you're going to feel like the king of the world. And of course, it was all alcohol. And then you bought your medicine, your potion, your elixir, and you felt great. And then the next day, the medicine man is gone, and you feel like total death. And so that's where it came from. Yeah, who wants to do that, right? Who wants to be that salesperson? But I really do believe that that's where the roots, and of course it has snowballed since then, but the roots of selling getting a bad rap, I think that's where it came from.
And so I'm curious, how did you get started?
Yeah, I would love to say it's just a straight path. I've always known and I knew exactly what to do, but that is not the case at all. I can remember growing up, my grandfather told me, you know what, you are a salesperson. You need to be a salesperson. And I remember thinking, no, I don't, Granddad. No, I want to be on TV. I want to write books. I want to change the world. Selling is not my bag of tricks. But as it turns out, one of my first jobs out of college was selling lumber for Georgia Pacific. And that transitioned into a pharmaceutical sales career. So I just sort of have always been a natural communicator, and those were the jobs I took out of college and ended up being really good at it and finding that I had a really unique spin on it.
That is so interesting, Kendrick. Now, why the focus on women?
Yeah, what a great question. Well, first of all, and it's going to come as a big shock to a lot of people, but I'm a woman. Right? I like to talk about what I know. I like to look smart. I don't know what it's like to be a man and to sell. I have no idea. I can only speak to my knowledge. The second thing is because it, at least as in my industry, from my experience, women seem to have a more difficult time communicating their value, owning their expertise, going out and saying, you know what, actually, this is the best product on the market, and here's why you need it. And so if I can empower women or teach women, or whatever words you want to use, to be able to go out and get what they want, I mean, I feel pretty dang amazing about myself when I put my head on my pillow at night. If I can be that role model for my daughter, what a great thing. So women, just because that's what I know, you know, and because I think that there's a great need there.
Awesome. So how do you do that? I mean, let me back up. Okay. Here's so the folks who are listening to this podcast and who are viewing this are always, as you said, concerned, whether you use the word sleazy or manipulative or whatever that word is. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, even as early as 15 years ago, if I were to use the word sales in front of a group of healthcare people, they would just get the icks. You know, they'd writhe in their chair. But I think that's changing a little bit. I think the recognition that dentistry is a business, for starters, is out there. But having said all of that, it's still a concern. So for the young ladies who are listening to this and they understand the value of having patients see value in needed dentistry, they understand the value of having, you know, the financial conversations, and they're the ones that are doing all of that. What are a few tips and tricks that you would give them to get past that feeling of manipulation? Or
well, the first thing is don't do it. I mean, if you feel the ick, it's one of the foundations of what I call authentic selling. If you feel the ick, find a better way. I mean, most of the time you're your own boss. If you are running the dental practice, you're your own boss. Find a better way to communicate the value. Now, when I say don't do it, I do not in any way mean stop selling. What I mean is, if you are having a conversation and it makes you want to vomit or crawl in the corner or feels the icks, as you call it, then stop. Why would you want to engage in an activity that makes you feel that way? That's step number one. Step number two is get sold on what you're selling.
I'll give you an
example. If you don't believe in it, you're going to have a real hard time selling it. So I think that you need to look at the benefits. And I'll tell you a personal story. And I shared this with you before we started, but my top 6 teeth are veneers. I love them. And
they're beautiful. They're beautiful.
Thank you. But here's the thing. If the dentist, and it may have even been the hygienist who started the conversation on a regular cleaning, hadn't asked the question, is there anything you don't like about your smile? I would have never had these. I would have never even known about veneers. I wouldn't have known it was an option. And there's nothing gross about that question. Is there anything you don't like about your smile? Now, it led us down a conversation, you know, and whatever, $10,000, $15,000 later, I have beautiful teeth. They weren't terrible to begin with. The point here is get sold on what you're selling. Don't be afraid to ask. I am more confident because of these teeth. I get more of what I want because of these teeth. And if you can do that for somebody, why would you not? So find the benefit. Step number 1, if you feel the ick, don't do it. Step number 2, get sold on what you're selling. And step number 3, accept that running a business and changing people's lives are not exclusive. You can do both at the same time.
Oh, great advice. Running a business and changing people's lives are not mutually exclusive. Man, that is a bonus sentence.
You know, I think so. For so many people, we think, well, we want to do this altruistic thing and we want to help people, whatever, you know, feel more confident, look more beautiful, have a healthier lifestyle. And for some reason, we think that it's a bad thing to make money doing that. Why? Why is that a bad thing? Do you like not having money? Do you like not being able to take your kid on that Disney cruise? I've never understood that. Never gotten it. You can run a business and change the world just fine. Oprah does it every day.
What a great example, too. Another great Tennessean, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. I am so excited. You know, they're getting a dose of country here today, right? You don't sound quite as country as I do, but
yeah, that's right. That's right. So if it feels icky, number 1, don't do it. If you're listening to this, write this down. Number 1, if it feels icky, don't do it. Number 2, get sold on what it is that you're selling. And number 3, don't be afraid to ask, because running a business and changing people's lives are not mutually exclusive. I love that. I'm going to use that again. Okay, so give us some tips and tricks. Just a few takeaways. How is it that you would advise people to do what you do? I understand that when you say, if it feels like you don't do it, but you have to keep the integrity of the process in place. I mean, after all, if you're going to change lives, you have to ask questions, right? You have to find out what's most important and all that. Yeah. How do you suggest that these guys do what they do when it comes to selling?
Well, I think that you have to find a way to ease into the if you're worried, let me back up. If you're worried about feeling icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, you need to ease into the conversation for your benefit and for the person who you're selling. That way it's not so awkward. Nobody likes to be hit over the head with a 2x4. At least last time I checked, it's not a real popular thing. So let's ease into the conversation. Let's come up with some questions that you can ask that feel good to you, that start a conversation. So is there anything you don't like about your smile? Have you ever considered having any cosmetic work done on your teeth? And I'm thinking a cosmetic just because that's my experience, but there are a gazillion things that
Sure.
you could be selling that are not related to cosmetics, right? So I think starting the conversation by asking some questions that feel really good to you is a good first step. Have those pre-written. Don't do it off the cuff. No, these are my 5 conversation starters to sell whatever I'm going to sell. Have one for cosmetics, have one for whatever else you sell in dentistry besides cosmetics. I know that they're there. Have one for whatever, and be prepared when you go in. If you're afraid of being icky, sleazy, slimy, gross, don't wing it. That's step number 1. Figure out what you're selling. Figure out a conversation starter and ask the questions. Step number 2 is have a list. It may take you 30 minutes to do this, but it'll be so worth your time. Have a list of the things that you want to sell in the office, whatever those are, and come up with 3 benefits for each one of those.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
If it, in my case, if it's veneers, again, I never had braces. My dentist told me I didn't need braces. My teeth were not crooked. I had a few gaps. Some people think gaps are sexy. I didn't, but it was a weird conversation, right? Like, well, this woman might be in love with her teeth. So how do we find out if she's not? Great. So the minute I said, yeah, well, I don't love these gaps, but I mean, what am I going to do about it? They immediately told me the solution. So get sold on the solution and give me 3 benefits. Here's what it's going to do for you. Number 1, close the gaps. Number 2, people say that they come out feeling more confident than they have ever felt before. Number 3, people are going to look at you and say, and this is exactly what they said to me, what have you done? You look younger. True story, but they don't know it's your teeth. And I was like, oh, all right, sign me up for looking younger with people not knowing. So whatever those benefits are, be able to recite them in your sleep. Then it's not so icky. Then it's not so slimy. Practice saying them. Sounds cheesy, but the more comfortable you are articulating them, the easier time you're going to have articulating it to a total stranger.
Okay, big question. Everything you're saying, good information, full of great information, Kendrick. One of the challenges that I would submit that the guys who are listening to this are going to say is, yeah, but the cost.
Yeah.
And
but the cost.
And they're on this side of the coin, right? They're on this side, and gosh, it's so expensive.
Yeah, well, it's true. And you know what? Here's the thing. Cost is going to be the objection to anything. It doesn't matter if my product or service is $1 or $1 million. I don't want to give you my hard-earned money. I worked hard for it. Why would I want to? Is that the real
objection? Is that the real objection?
No, that's what I'm going to say. That's not the real objection, though. Cost, and it doesn't mean that the people are lying. It's just what they think. If somebody tells you cost, it means you've not sold them on the value. At least in the modern free world, people pay for what they value. We pay $1,000 for a cell phone. I mean, seriously, for a phone. I found myself on Apple's website this weekend looking at the iPhone X and thinking, what are you doing? Your phone works perfectly fine. So the first step with money is you can't believe it. Grant Cardone says all the time, it's not about price, it's about love. If they love your product or service, if they are sold on it, they will find a way. They will find a way. Number 2, have creative financing options. I remember when I got my teeth done, I had the option to have, 6 months, same as cash or what. I don't remember what it was, but make it easy for people to say yes, right? You don't have to pay me $10,000 up front. Let's make it easy on you. What do we need to do to make that smile the smile you've always wanted? Because life is too short to be hiding your smile.
Oh my goodness. I could just listen to you forever. So, I mean, the big ones that you just talked about are the big ones that we talk about on a regular basis. Number one, these are in reverse order. Make it as easy as possible to say yes. If you are in the business of dentistry, you should write that down, star it, circle it. You should put it under your eyelids, because you are not competing with other dentists. You are competing with other industries after the same discretionary dollars that your patients have. And every other industry understands the value of making it as easy as possible to say yes. And then secondly, this is a huge bonus sentence. I hope you wrote this down. It isn't really about the money. It's always about the value. It's never about price. But yet people justify, don't they?
They do. And if I could say one more thing to that, if
Please.
you, as the seller or provider of the service, if you don't want to call yourself a seller, believe it's about money, you've lost the battle. So people will go into the story. I can't. It's Christmas. I can't. Our roof fell in. I can't. I need to buy a new tube of lipstick. I don't care what the reason is. Here's the thing. You are selling to adults. You're not asking kids to pay $10,000, $20,000. You're selling to adults. Their money is not your business. Your business is to sell them on what the product or service will do for them. It is their business to decide if they can afford it. So don't go into the story. Too often we are such kind, caring individuals. We get sucked into this, oh, she really can't. She's got a XYZ. Not your business. You don't need to go there. You need to present the option and let the adult make the decision. Period.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I can just let you go. Their money is not your business.
It's not.
Keeping it real. Laying some truth on you right here, first thing.
Let me sell you on that. Let me sell you on why their money is not your business. When I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, I sold a heart drug, and the heart drug in a head-to-head comparison was statistically proven to have mortality data, meaning that in a head-to-head trial, my drug saved more lives, okay? But the drug I sold was expensive. The drug I sold was not covered by a lot of formularies or insurance. The drug I sold didn't have a generic yet. So the head-to-head competitor had a generic that was $10, $3, whatever. Had a thought leader in Atlanta, Georgia, who saw tons of heart attack post-MI patients, didn't write my product, wrote the competitor. So I knew the man pretty well by this time, and I walked in and I said, Dr. Such and Such, let me ask you a question. Do you believe the study that says whatever, drug A has mortality data over drug B? Yes, Kendrick, I believe it. It's science. It was head-to-head. It was double-blind, placebo-controlled. I believe it. Okay, then why aren't you presenting it as an option? I mean, I knew him well enough to say, I can see your prescribing data, even though I wasn't supposed to. Why the heck are my samples not going off the shelf?
Right.
And the man said, my customers can't afford, my patients can't afford it. Wow. And I said, okay, Dr. Such and Such. So if your wife, God forbid, was post-MI, post-heart attack, which drug would you, as the expert, insist she goes on? Well, I'd choose yours. Why? Because it has mortality data. Okay. Well, then what the heck are you doing? You're making the decision for people.
Damn, that's right.
And he said, Kendrick, my patients are indigent. They don't have the money. Then call me. I'll give you samples. But do not take away somebody's right to make the choice. And that's what we do in the healthcare industry. Dentistry is one of those things. Don't make the decision for them. They're adults.
Oh, speaking the truth. Speaking the truth. So what happened next? Did he start?
He started writing my product.
You just had to get him sold on it.
And he called me. It wasn't about money. He would call me. Actually, he didn't call me because he never dealt with callbacks. His nurse called me and say, Kendrick, you know what? We got these people whose house burned down, but Dr. Such and Such wants them to be on your drug. Great. I'll bring them samples. I honored my part of the bargain. I mean, that's part of selling in an authentic way. Honor what you say. Put the patients on it who can afford it, and the patients who truly can't will figure it out. Same is true with dentistry. Don't go into the story. Their money is none of your business. Let them make the decision. Give them the choice.
Their money is not your business. Man, that's great. So if I am Kendrick, I mean, you are a superstar in this arena. There's no doubt about it. If I am a young lady and I'm listening to this and maybe I've not yet entered the workforce, what advice would you have for me?
Yeah, what a great question. So I think that, the advice is the same whether you've entered the workforce or not. I think that know your products and services. Know the benefit of what you're selling. If you're sold, it's going to be so much easier to explain the benefits to someone there. I mean, I think that it's really hard for me. Okay. So I got a pair of Louis Vuitton shoes right here. I wore them on the Steve Harvey show. I keep them on my desk here as a reminder. I love them. These are the most uncomfortable shoes in the freaking world. I didn't know that at the time. Ladies, I wanted some red bottom shoes because y'all know that's a status symbol. It's
That is the thing.
And I thought, I'm going to be on Steve Harvey, and I'm from a little bitty town, and I need to have some killer shoes. I could not sell these shoes if my life depended on it because they are so freaking uncomfortable. I could sell them. I probably could, but not well if my life depended on them.
Because you're not sold on them.
Because I'm not sold on them. So figure out what you want to get behind. What products and services do you want to get behind to bring into your practice and get sold on them? And keep this crap out of there. Doesn't matter how pretty it is. If you're not sold on it, you can't sell it.
Oh, that's awesome, Kendrick. That is awesome. So if I'm not sure, what if I'm a young lady though, and I'm not real sure that sales is for me? I'm thinking about that. Let's say what did you call it? The elixir salesman, okay. Right? Mm-hmm. How do I get past that? I mean, you obviously are a huge reference if I'm in that boat, right?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Of course I am.
You're your reference. What else would you tell them to do?
Well, the first thing I would say is said with love, welcome to the modern age. Because if you don't want to sell, you might as well build a house in the middle of nowhere and live alone, because you are selling somebody every day of your life. So make peace with it. Last night, my daughter cried. She's 9 years old, cried about not wanting to go to school. And, we've been on break here, and it hurts, Mommy. It hurts. She's dramatic. Hurts in my chest. It hurts in my stomach. I don't think I can physically go. Well, I spent 30 minutes selling her on why she had to go. You are going to have to sell. So step number one is deal with it. You're going to have to sell if you are going to live and communicate in this world, but you are in charge of how it feels and you're in charge of how you do it. So find some resources, find some people you identify with and learn. I can guarantee you, as sure as my hair is red, if you make peace with selling and you learn how to do it, you will get more of what you want in life. And who doesn't want that?
And that is a great point. I mean, as parents, if you do not embrace this concept of selling, then somebody is going to beat you out at the influence game. And that is not a good place to be as a parent.
It's a terrible place to be.
Spoken like a true parent. Wow. So many great things here. So the big takeaway for me, and if you're listening to this, you should write this down if you haven't already, is their money is not your business. Everything in life is sales. And you got to get behind what it is that you're selling. You have to get sold, as you said. You have to get sold on what it is that you're selling, or you're not going to be able to sell it. Don't be afraid to ask. Running a business, Kendrick Shope. This is a quote. Running a business and changing people's lives are not mutually exclusive. Wow, that is awesome. Kendrick, for those who are listening and watching, how can they find you?
Oh, well, I'm kind of everywhere. If you're on social media, you could probably just find me by searching Kendrick Shope. You can come to the website, kendrickshope.com. We actually, in 2018, are doing this really cool thing on the podcast blog, I guess, or KTV or whatever it's called right now, where we're giving you step by step.
Kendrick TV, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah, KTV, yeah. Every step you need to run a successful business from the online perspective, and we're going in order. So step number 1 is 1 week. Step number 2, and it's all free. It's all just out there for your consumption. So if you struggle with selling, I can guarantee you there are free resources and free videos there available for you that will help you come to terms with it and probably even fall in love with it.
Kendrick Shope, it has been an honor. It has been a privilege. Author, media personality, podcast host, everything to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here. It's my total pleasure. Love to talk with a good old Tennessean. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Talk soon.
All right.